Welcome to Greater Good Radio Hawaii, where leaders inspire leaders. Greater Good Radio Hawaii is dedicated to social entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Evan Leong, and with me is my co-host, Carrie Leong.
Thank you, Evan. Today's guest is Kelvin Taketa, President and CEO of the Hawaii Community Foundation, a statewide charitable services and grant-making organization that gave away over $30 million in grants and contracts last year. Please welcome to Greater Good Radio, Kelvin Taketa. Welcome to our show, Kelvin.
Thank you, Carrie.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the Hawaii Community Foundation and what they do?
Sure. The Community Foundation is a repository of charitable funds that have been set up by generous individuals and families and businesses all across the state to benefit the larger community.
So what do you actually do with this money that's put into the fund?
It really depends on the donors. These are people who have taken the time and effort to pursue a passion about what they wanted to see accomplished in the community. So our job is to be the steward of those funds to ensure that they go to the kinds of projects and the kinds of interests that they have. Some of our funds are set up as scholarship programs to help people where families come in and say, someone else helped me get a scholarship so I could attend college. Others are set up because people care about the environment. They want to be sure that the environment is protected. So it just depends on the passion and the dreams of the people who leave us the money.
What's the average size for most of these gifts?
It varies. We have multi-million-dollar funds that have been set up by families. We also have small funds. They start at $10,000. We've had people walk in the door who were school teachers who took a bus to come to our office and wanted to set up a fund to help the community and then continue to contribute to it year after year.
So the Community Foundation is not only for rich people. It's for anyone who wants to have philanthropy of some sort.
That's right. You know, everybody can do something. And what we try to do is to help people find the best way to do that. Now, not everybody should set up a fund at the Community Foundation. There are people every day in our community who are giving back in their own ways. And what we're there to do is to help them figure out the best way to do that.
So there's different organizations that you already have or work with, and they say, okay, I want my money to go to this cause?
There are different kinds of funds at the Community Foundation. Sometimes people leave us the money, and what they want us to do is to continue to support a specific organization or a kind of organization. For example, people will leave us money because they love the symphony, and they want to be sure that the symphony will be perpetuated into the future. Now, if something happens and the symphony goes out of business, then it's the responsibility of the Community Foundation to think of what that donor intended to do and to ensure that we continue to support a similar activity. So sometimes we'll support chamber music, for example. But the funds vary. There are also funds that are set up where people have come to us and said, what I want to do is give back to charities during my lifetime. They set up what are called donor-advised funds. They're like mini foundations. And what we do is to work with them to ensure that the money that they're giving in the community makes the biggest impact. We're a statewide organization. We have offices in each of the counties. I'd like to say that there's almost every year, we touch almost every community in the whole state. And so as a result, we know a lot of information about what's going on in the communities, what the needs are, so we can help people direct their charitable dollars to making the biggest difference.
And are all foundations set up the same way, or is HCF, how is it different than others?
Community foundations are unique. There are about 700 community foundations in the country, and they're all public charities. In a sense, they aren't set up by an individual. When you think of foundations, everybody thinks of like Bill and Melinda Gates. That's a foundation that was set up by particular individuals who still have a great deal to say about how the money is spent. In our case, we have 450 funds. Each of those funds has a story behind it of a family, an individual who gave us those dollars, and they either work during their lifetime with us or upon their death. We're in charge of being sure that their charitable wishes are carried out. So it's a very different kind of organization.
So how is it determined where the money actually goes? Do people apply? Organizations apply? How does this process work?
There's really three large parts of how money is expended by the Community Foundation. If you look at the $30 million we administered in grants and contracts this year, the first is basically money we expend on behalf of private foundations where we provide services to them to help them make grants. In those cases, they are making the decisions about where the money is spent, but we are providing services in a sense like a storefront to help them get their message across to the public who will be then applying for grants from them, and to administer that grant program and to evaluate how they do with their grants. The second are funds that are the funds of the community foundation itself, those 450 funds I talked about. In those cases, some of those funds have advisory boards that are set up where we actually ask an advisory board to make decisions about where the money goes. Other times it's our board or our staff that does it. And in other cases, the donors themselves recommend organizations and programs to give grants to. The third kinds of funds that we have are about $10 million a year that we give out in what are called public-private partnerships, where we've been entrusted with public dollars to distribute into the state. For example, Senator Inouye has worked very closely with the Community Foundation to get federal funds to help fight the ice epidemic. And our job is to convene the communities across the state, help them figure out what the best way to deal with the ice epidemic is, everything from drug court to the prosecutor's office, undercover cops, rehabilitation programs, youth prevention programs, a whole stream of activities that we work on together. So those are the three sort of major ways that the money is distributed.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.